I'm going full screen.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Hello. Are you guys
Hi.
ready to go full screen with us today? I hope you are. It actually, that's an interesting question. It's not an interesting question, but it's one I'm going to ask. How many of you watch this not full screen when you watch it? Do you watch it
Oh,
in the feed? Because in the uh what's it, Patreon, I couldn't think of the service. In the Patreon feed, you could just click play and
yeah.
it's just a YouTube video there. So do you bump us up to full screen or do you watch us at a small scale?
That's a good question. When you're watching trapped in your refrigerator or wherever you are,
Yeah.
uh,
By the way, I'm
how
really
do you
happy
watch
that
it?
we didn't get flagged for the 1 second of the Casey and JoJo song that I put in there.
I was curious. I was
Yeah.
curious.
I
So
kept it
that's
as brief as possible because I was like, how do we get around this? It was
now
vital
see.
to the video that I put it in there.
Well, yes, yeah.
Um, so I considered I don't want this to get deleted, but I considered, that and I didn't. So congratulations to us. Congratulations to you guys for having
Yes,
seen it. If you didn't and you don't know what I'm talking about, welcome back to the show. Joe has returned from his years-long sabbatical. Uh,
yes. I got to
he
say, it was hard uploading the videos that you sent with my bionic arm. Um,
Yeah, well, they're vibranium arms.
Vibranium
Two
arm.
of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, but I had
Did you
those.
like? Did you like? By the way, the picture of you with your two arms.
Yes. Yes. I'm in some pain now because I had them replaced back to my normal arms. And I guess you're in some pain too, huh?
What a segue. For anybody who notices that I am wincing at any given time during this, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. I have somehow severely re-aggravated my broken rib injury from 12 years ago, to the degree that I am pretty incapacitated in a not so great way. I've been doing physical therapy, trying to get to a place where I have a little bit more range of motion, but I am experiencing a great deal of pain and it sucks ass and it's making it harder to do basic shit and breathe and whatnot because of the pain. But I'm doing everything I can to get better. I think the biggest thing is, and maybe this could serve as a cautionary tale. When I broke my ribs, for anyone who doesn't know, it doesn't seem possible that there'd be anybody watching this who's unaware of that story. But if you don't know, you can look up Andy Biersack rib break, and there's unfortunately videos from every angle. There's actually one video that I believe we watched on the show before that says
Mm-hmm.
at all angles,
Mm-hmm.
where someone compiled Gomer piled every
Gomer
single
piled it.
angle
Yep.
of the injury. But I jumped off a thing to try to get onto another thing. And unfortunately, in between those two things was a third thing that I landed on with my ribs. Shattered all those ribs, 9, 10, and 11. 11th rib is basically nothing. And then, because I was 20 years old and not really that considerate of my well being, I went on Warp Tour a week later, and did the full summer wearing only gauze wrapped around my and a pillow. The reason for the gauze was that there was a small pillow which I figured, if I did fall, would protect those ribs. A little medical pillow that you'd probably use for like your feet or something,
Yes.
wrapped up in gauze. Not It was a self-invented methodology. It wasn't as if the doctors told me, "Hey, be sure to wrap a little tiny pillow around your ribs." But I thought, well, if I fall down on stage, which I, by the way, did, within a week into that tour, we were playing in Montreal, where we used to do Warp Tour. They stopped doing it. I believe that was the final year of the Montreal Warp Tour. And there's also video of this where I stepped onto what I thought was a platform, and it turns out it was the space between the stage and the speaker stack, and I fell into it with one leg and then rocked my whole skeleton, which is not as cool as it sounds. And so then that happened. Then later that October, went on tour in Europe and rolled around on the ground like again, not advisable, and fractured, small fracture in my skull. So it was a rough year. And so I figured after that year, I should do absolutely nothing about it and just continue touring and drinking when it hurts. And then I got into a car accident. The police, because I was not at fault and the car appeared to be able to drive fine, allowed me to drive home from the scene of this
Oh,
accident.
I don't
Um,
think I've ever heard that.
well, I guess well, here's the thing. That was also something that occurred while I was healing broken ribs. I got into this severe car accident where, again, I had the arm hair burnt off my arms from the airbag being deployed, and ended up I had to go to the hospital. I had a concussion. It was a whole thing. Um, and then I did what you were supposed to do after something like that, which is, again, nothing. For no sort of physical therapy, nothing at all. Come 2014, and I'm now in a place where I'm driving my car and my legs are numb and I can't figure out why. And so I start going to doctors. And eventually, long story short, after a long time, they tell me to do physical therapy, which I go and do one time and then never again. And here we are at 32 when I sort of kind of fell out of this chair while on the phone, and now I can't use any of my extremities. So this all stems back from the rib injury, the re-aggravation of the rib injury, the scar tissue that has built over those ribs over the course of the last 12 years, and me being 32 and having done absolutely nothing to try to rehab that injury at all, which includes, again, broken ribs, going on tour, falling again with those broken ribs, and then about 8 months later, 9 months later, getting into a car accident with those ribs. Uh, and again, doing nothing. So I say all of that to say there are many things in my adolescence that I did that are inadvisable, and I have written about them in my book. I've tried to share them. I would like to be as much of a cautionary tale as possible for anybody who, if something happens to you physically that you know isn't right, please do what you're supposed to do, which is to handle it and take care of yourself, because you don't want to end up in a situation where you have chronic pain for something that maybe could have been managed in some capacity. It's very frustrating, and I certainly am not alone in this, but it's very frustrating to know that I'm experiencing this pain. I'm having to go to physical therapy constantly. I'm trying to work through it so that I can perform on stage come the end of the month when I'm going to Mexico, and then we go right into the US tour, then we go right into the Europe tour. And it's very frustrating that this is something that I believe could have been handled if earlier in my life I gave more of a shit about my well-being and attempted to take care of myself more, the way that I do now. I at this point I'm extremely health conscious. I work out every day. I run every day. I try to eat as best I can. I try to do a good job of taking care of myself, and I didn't when I was younger. And regardless of all those things, the fact that I'm healthy now, there's something in my body that happened that I never handled when I was younger, and now it's, what is the saying? The chickens are coming home to kill you. That's, I believe, what the saying is.
Yes.
Yeah. Finally,
The
the
chickens are
chickens
coming
have come
home.
home to kill me.
Yep. Yep. They're
The
gonna.
ducks have come home to quack.
And a quack attack it is.
The dogs have come into your house uninvited.
And are bow wowing.
The question is, who let the dogs in that instance?
We may never know.
We may never know. Ask the Baja Men. The party was nice. The party was bumping. Everybody was having a ball. Somebody was jumping and shouting, and then the in between is Aia Yippee Ki-Yo.
Yes.
And then,
Yippee Ki-Yo.
and then is there a woman shouted?
Well,
A woman shout dog. That's what I hear when I. So here's
should we
something.
add in the song?
No, we'll get a YouTube strike. Strike. Strike.
Right.
Strike. Here's something that I was thinking about yesterday. Do you know the song "It's Not Unusual" by Tom Jones or Tom Jones
Certainly.
or Thomas Jane.
Yes, Thomas Jane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
Thomas Hayden Church.
unusual. That one,
To
right?
be loved by the Carlton song.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am unable to think of that song without incorrectly. I think it's a little bit of a Mandela effect situation, right? Because I think that it's gone beyond like a laughing thing or like a jokey fake lyric thing, where
Yes.
I cannot separate my deep belief that one of the lyrics in that song is "It's not unusual to have sex with everyone" from the song itself. I have to Google it every time to confirm, because I go, "There's no way that that's a lyric in the song." It's way too aggressive. But then I'll go, "Well, no, I think it's not
You
unusual to
want
have
to have
sex with
sex with
everyone." Yeah,
everyone.
right.
It fits. It works.
So I know
What
it's
is the
not real.
lyric? What is the actual lyric?
I don't.
Do you
Yeah.
know?
Well, hold on. I just had deja vu. Have we done this before on the show?
I mean, it's been like 6 years at this point. I'm sure we've, if not longer. When did we start this? I always forget.
I feel certain that I've read the lyrics to "It's Not Unusual" on the show. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. To have fun with anyone.
That's the sex one? Hmm.
Yeah.
It's okay. So I think we just want it to be it's not unusual to have sex with
It's not
everyone.
unusual to have sex with anyone.
I mean, it would be better if those were the lyrics.
It's not unusual to see me cry. I want to die is the next lyric.
Oh,
So,
well.
yeah. Which, certainly not me being morally judgmental, but, I do now like the idea that this is some sort of like ethical quandary of promiscuity that Tom Jones is going through. It's not unusual to have sex with everyone. It's not unusual to see me cry. Yes. I want to die.
This does continue the ability to have the happiest sounding songs with the saddest lyrics. I don't understand, because is somebody like, I really am sad, but I want people to dance to my sadness.
Yeah. Well, so we go to a tattooer named Daniela, and she's wonderful and awesome. And you might have seen her work on Instagram if you follow me and Lilith. But she is from Colombia originally, and English is the second language. So when she is in charge of the iPod, whatever it is, it's an archaic speaker system at this tattoo shop, as is often the case with businesses, where it's not a laptop, it's not a phone connected via Bluetooth, it's like a auxiliary cord into an iPod. But she will sometimes play Spanish speaking music, and there was a song that was just tremendously happy sounding, like the most happy sounding song, like a Wiggles-esque children's song.
Yeah.
And I asked, "What is he singing right now?" And she said, "Oh, it's not very happy. It's very sad." And I liked that sort of surprise more than anything else, because it's a language I don't speak, so I didn't get to know.
Did she go into detail? And it was the most depressing song of all time.
His wife had left him, and he was willing to give her a rose for every day of his life if she came back, or something like that.
Oh my! But what is that? Why are all there's just so many? Next week I'll have some examples. But there's been so many times where I'm just singing along, and then I go, "Wait a minute, what the?" Like, why have such a happy sounding song if it's so sad? Also, I'm curious. As I was driving across the country, I decided, as I had multiple hours to do nothing while driving, to listen to like pop stations and count the different ways one could sing to "Shake Your Ass" that was put into a song.
Watch Yourself.
Yeah. Well, there's the mystical classic.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Watch Yourself, Shake Your Ass.
Show me what you're looking with.
Yes. There was also Shake It Like Shake Your Tail Feather.
Yeah.
Which was
that Petey Pablo?
It may have been.
Well,
Shake Your Tail. I feel like that was like a collabo.
Let's
No
see.
Busta Rhymes, Jim Carrey collab,
Murphy,
mind
Lee,
you.
Nelly, Sean Combs. So I was way off.
Yes.
Murphy, Lee.
I think that was with a movie. I can't remember. By Bad
Bad Boys
Boys or
too.
something. Yes. Yes. Uh that seems to be a sure. And then obviously the Shake It Like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah.
Um
Here we go.
has anyone approached you about writing a song about shaking one's ass?
No one has ever approached me about writing any type of song in particular.
Have you ever thought about writing a song about shaking
That's
one's
not
ass?
true. That when we did the first Universal record, we were often approached about particular songs, but it was always like, what if you did a song like Rat or whatever? It was never like what if you did a song that lyrically. I will say that we had a suggestion when we did the fourth record. Um and by the way, now this is a little exclusive because now I'd like you guys to go listen to this song. Um what was the song? Okay. It was by the group Hot Chocolate.
Nice.
Let me see their songs because it wasn't the I Believe in Miracles, which is their You Sexy Thing. I think it was Emma. Emma by Hot Chocolate. Our A&R, a wonderful person, but our A&R at Universal was convinced that we needed to do a heavy metal version produced by Bob Rock of Emma by Hot Chocolate. And we tried. We sat in a rehearsal space and tried to make this happen. And then somehow that became covering I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss, which
Sure.
then rendered a demo, which I believe the public will never hear. Um, it's actually not too bad. The problem is that the demo, unfortunately, the way it was recorded on our little thing in the rehearsal space, Jinx's falsetto backup vocals are in the spot volume wise where the lead vocal should be. So
Ah.
instead of hearing me, you're hearing this primarily the whole time tonight. And it's so much louder than my little voice. And this is not a criticism of Jinx's singing voice. He's singing a very high and in falsetto demo vocal that is not
Yes.
meant to be the lead vocal of anything. But unfortunately, in this demo, which is the only one we have, I want to give it all to you is the lead vocal.
Oh boy. We almost, man, I wonder if we could make that an exclusive. I want to hear that so
I
badly.
I don't know. Sometimes it comes on, like your phone will play random shit when you it
Yeah.
like connects to Bluetooth. It's
Yeah.
not it's not never that I get into my car and the thing is the riff rules. So it starts out great and I'm like, fuck yeah. And then it comes right into that first verse and it's I don't know how we made that mistake, but we discovered it pretty quickly. I believe that night Jinx sent it over to me and we were laughing about how unfortunate it was that the lead vocal track was recorded with the falsetto meant only for a demo backup vocal. Because of course, if we were doing it for real, we would need to probably have someone who had a higher register sing that full voice,
Sure.
because it's very very high. Or I would sing it falsetto and we would bury it to be able to have it mix and fit within.
Sure.
Um, as is the
Yeah.
case, most of the time on records, when you're hearing harmonies on our records, it's most of the time it's me harmonizing myself. And then it's for the higher parts, it has been historically, it was John Feldman a lot. Eric Ron sang a lot on Phantom Tomorrow, the higher end stuff that is outside of my range. But more and more, just because I've been able to kind of improve my range vocally, I've been able to do the higher stuff as well. But certainly on like Wretched and Divine, you're hearing myself and John Feldman and my, Homecoming King or any of those songs where there's the high end harmonies, you're hearing myself and John Feldman, and then the band would do the full gang vocals. So in the context of the studio where we were working with Bob Rock, who is not a singer and certainly not someone that outside of the band would be able to contribute for a demo vocally, we were left to our own devices. And Jinx, honestly, here's the thing about it: if it were tucked in the mix properly, you would not hear it and go, "Oh, this is bad."
Right.
But as the lead vocal, it
Showcasing it.
sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Sure.
I
want to
realize
hear
that
it.
I'm talking a lot about something that I hope you never hear. But that's the way it
Well,
is.
I can hear it in my head, and it's glorious.
Yeah, maybe for you someday I'll play it just so
Okay.
you can have the context. I'll play just the opening riff. Hold on. If I can find it, I'll play just the opening riff.
Well, it was beautiful.
So, Joe, why don't we talk about when you tried to defect to Canada by driving your car to try to go unnoticed?
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about it.
By the
My
way,
joining the circus.
do you remember in like 2004, did you have any people after John Kerry lost the election, the second Bush administration, the second term of Bush when John Kerry lost the election? Do you remember people like, did you have any friends in school? Columbus is a very liberal place, that their
Yeah.
parents were saying that they were going to move to Canada if Bush won a second term?
There were a couple, yes.
Yeah. Did
They
they?
did not. No.
I'm so fascinated by that. I bring it
I
up
know.
because I often think about I did know someone whose family moved to Canada after that. Uh,
Wow.
at SCPA, there was a I can't remember her name, but her parents were kind of, artsy people, and one day she didn't come to school anymore, and she had moved to Canada. And
Wow.
it's so rare that you see somebody really follow through on a sort of promise like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Boy. And that was, huh. I guess you commend them. They stuck to their guns on
I
that
wonder
one.
how they like Canada. And their name was Lonnie Eagleton. So how was your drive around?
It was a very enjoyable walkabout. I saw a ton of people that I know, not
Mhm.
just randomly. Although I did see a lot of people I didn't know too. I had some interactions with people I didn't know.
Eleanor Rigby.
What?
Oh, I, so now I'm not even singing things anymore. I'm just saying the song name.
Yes. Oh,
Because
yeah.
you said I saw a lot of people, and then I went all of the people, and then I went
All
all
the
the lonely
all the
people.
other
Where
people.
do they all come from?
Eleanor Rigby.
And so then I just said Eleanor Rigby
Yeah.
instead of singing the parts.
No. No. Well, hey. Um. Uh. It was great, and I had like everybody I met up with. I ended up talking with for like several hours. So it's nice to have enough people that you have a connection
Every
with.
person that you saw on your journey, you spoke to
Yes.
for several hours.
Whether I knew them or not. The
What the
gas
fuck?
station attendant.
Yeah, several hours.
It took me a long time to
Oh,
get where I was
it
going.
hurts to laugh. But I can't help it. I love that.
Yep. The
Have you
people at the
watched that show
hotel.
Poker Face or whatever on Peacock? Where
No. Oh
okay,
no, I am familiar with it.
okay, but like the conceit is that they end up every episode is a different sort of mystery in a different town, and the main character drives around, and she's got like a sixth sense about things, and she ends up in these different places. I like to think of you like in that sort of a scenario, but not because you're solving a crime. You just won't
Yeah.
go away. So you just go
Yeah.
into these little towns all along the 10 freeway.
Yep. And just chat it up with people.
Look, I'm going to be here
Get
for
to
a
know them.
couple hours.
Yeah. So get comfortable.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your family tree.
Yeah. Who's your favorite 1970s baseball player?
Favorite type of chewing gum.
Yeah.
Yeah, all sorts of
Remember
fun
zebra
questions.
stripe gum? It's delicious.
Mm,
Flavor went away fast.
very fast.
All right, so you
Big
talked to
League
everybody for a
Chew.
couple hours.
And
No one got
while
sick
I
of you.
was, yeah, and then eventually they made it abundantly. Some just left, got up and left. But yeah, whether it was friends or family, I sat on my former English teacher's porch for like 4 hours. He
Were they
wasn't
there?
home, but No, he was there. He was.
Yeah, he was out. You were waiting
Yeah,
for
he
him to
was
get
out. I
home.
was waiting. Yep.
Yeah.
Just unannounced drop
Hey,
by.
is Mr. fucking whatever the hell here? Oh no, he's out for the day. He's got jury duty. Well, I'll just wait.
I'll just wait here.
I've got 100%
Oh,
battery on my phone. I got my AirPods are fully charged. I can just wait it out.
yep. No, I don't need anything. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm quite all right. Yep. I'll feed the cats though.
Yep.
I see you've got several.
I've brought my own food.
But while I just was seeing so many people I hadn't seen in a long time, and the conversations were great. But at some point, you do start having the same conversation because it's just catching up and all that kind of stuff. And so my mind just started wandering after like the third person I was talking with, and I just thought I had multiple hypotheticals, but I was talking with. It started when I was talking with my friend. She was talking about her kids, and I just thought, and we were sitting at a diner, and I was like, maybe I should just stare at her and let out a massive fart and just see what her reaction is as she's talking about something fairly serious. And then that escalated to later when I was talking to somebody else. I just thought, what if I pronounced my love for this person very seriously? What would their reaction be? And then it culminated. I was talking with your dad, and I thought,
And you let out a fart and told him how much you love him.
I just thought, I wonder what he would do if I just leaned in and just kissed his nose.
So
It made it
the
really
theme
wet.
of your trip was having bizarre, intrusive thoughts.
Just to see how people would react to things.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought about taking off my dad's glasses while he was driving.
Okay.
I didn't do any of these things, but in case that needed to be clarified.
Sure. Yeah.
But everyone I
like
interacted
if you had,
with,
the story would have started there.
Yeah.
If you had been actively sort of shitty pranking everyone that you came across.
Yeah. I thought about sticking my finger into my uncle in North Carolina's ear.
Whew, boy, there was a lot of places that could have gone, and I'm so happy for you that you didn't cross that line.
No,
with an
no, I didn't. Just making gibberish sounds in public with it while they were talking and playing it straight. It was an amusing way for me to pass having to give the same update on my life like 25 times.
Sure.
Just so
well.
So that was amusing. I found it to be joyful. But it was a great visit. It was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed going to a Reds game with our aunt, and your dad was there, but we weren't able to meet up. So that
different
was
seats. You guys
different
had nicer
seats. Yes. There was also a rainstorm that got in the way of us meeting up before the game.
Isn't that always the way?
It is, you know. And then I did find out that I was an outlaw while driving. Turns out that if you rent a car in California, I rented a car because I didn't want to put the miles on mine, and thought I'd take advantage of the unlimited miles thing that most of them offer.
Yeah.
But when you rent a car in California, you're not supposed to go farther east than Kansas, which I did.
No, you did. Yeah.
Yes. Didn't know that until the
What company were you renting through?
Let the dogs out! Let the dogs out!
Yeah. Because I don't think that's the case if you go through with like a major company.
Yeah.
It's
probably
the problem
not.
Is that the car probably doesn't have any facilities past Kansas.
Maybe so. I don't know. I just assumed that they were trying to discourage exactly what I did, which is a cross country drive and really stacking up the miles
Yeah, couple
in a
thousand,
3 week period.
couple thousand.
So I was really hoping that I didn't get any car accidents or any issues.
When you returned it and had added 4,000 miles to the card, did anybody say anything about that?
No, and I was very nervous about that. It was like 5,600 miles in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was
Standard
coming.
for a car rental driving around LA. Can you imagine, just by virtue of how long it takes to get anywhere in Los Angeles, what would have had to have happened for you to somehow get 5,600 miles in 3 weeks around LA?
Well, I came up with the whole because I looked at where I could go, and I said,
Hours. I don't even think it's possible because
no,
the
it's not.
hours in
It's
traffic.
not. No, it's not. Definitely not within LA proper. So I came up with a story where I went all the way up the California coast to Washington. Couldn't have gone into Canada. I wasn't allowed to do that.
Back down the coast.
Back down the coast. Then went to Texas.
Yeah.
Then went up to Kansas.
Yep.
I had a whole story. I mapped out.
Back
I was
down to
convinced.
Texas.
Back to Texas.
Yep. Headed back through the panhandle of Oklahoma.
Then I forgot something, so I had to go back a third time
Oh,
to
isn't that
Texas.
always the way when you drive from California to Seattle?
This is what I am always convinced I'm going to get screwed over in something. And in this case, actually, I was the one that didn't follow their rules. So yeah, I created a whole.
You should be concerned about getting screwed over with sort of your methodology. I feel like more often the case, the grift is coming from you, not to you.
That's a good point.
You can't
That's a
grift
good point. We've always said that.
Yeah, that's the reason. That's the main reason to become a grifter, is to become impervious to grifts.
That's true. That's true. That is my superpower.
Yeah.
You
go, I know what you're doing because I'm already doing it.
And yeah, so I created a whole. I memorized the route that I took. Did the car wash. Did the vacuum and everything on the car.
Yeah.
And dropped it off, and the guy said, "You're good," and didn't look at anything.
Possible that Fox is not a real rental company. So you did all this for no reason. This was all just theoretical laws.
Yeah, maybe, maybe, but I didn't get charged.
So
then I wondered.
I am banned from renting from the Hertz Corporation.
That's right. I remember that. I don't remember why. Did you leave the car somewhere?
So that has to do directly with the accident. So what happened was the car is not drivable. Basically the whole thing would go immediately hard to the left as soon as you started the car. So to drive it, I'd have to correct the wheel all the way to the right and then had to kind of relearn how to drive, where slight movements to the left were the only way to get the car going straight. So obviously I didn't continue to drive this for very long. It was a rental car. And at some point I decided, I was about to go on tour, and I called Hertz and I said, I am not going to drive this back to LAX. It's dangerous for me to do so. So you're going to have to send like a tow truck to come get this. And they said, that is not possible. That's against our policy. You're going to have to return the car physically. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. And then they said, sir, you have to. And then I said, goodbye. And so I hung up and didn't hear back for about an hour. And then I got a call, and the person said, we need you to drive that car down here. And I said, I understand that, but I'm not going to.
So here we are.
And then I hung up again. And really the sort of unabashed confidence of a 21-year-old. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
So then they call me back after some time and say, okay, fine, we'll come get it. So they send a tow truck and they come get it. And I never hear anything about it for a long time.
Yeah.
I call my insurance company to file a report on the accident. And I do everything I'm supposed to do. And then I never, ever hear about it again. This is right before I bought the car that I had, the Challenger.
Yes.
And right before, so we were living downtown. I was making Wretched and Divine at the time. Never hear another word about it. Years go by, and I've not heard anything about this. One day in 2016, I get a call from my mom, who you know, Joe.
I do. Yes.
Very upset, saying, Andy, someone has come here to the house to serve you with a summons to appear in court. And so I, of course, am freaked out. And then I go, well, send it over and let's take a look at it. And we do. And that happened in 2013, and the case was closed. And they could not find me because my address had changed so many times, but they legally still have to serve you at some point with the paperwork. So there was nothing that I needed to worry about because the whole case happened without me being present. And the only blowback on me was that Hertz promised to ban me from the Hertz Corporation moving forward. So,
wow.
Backstory on that: the person who drove directly into my car and in fact was found at fault at the scene of the accident. I gave my information, paperwork, the whole thing. And then he found some loophole within the Hertz. This is as it was explained to me. So I don't want to, this is not gospel. This is just the way it was told to me. Because again, I didn't find out about this case until 3 years after it ended.
Right. Yeah.
He found a loophole within the insurance system for Hertz where there was no coverage for the person who it drives directly into a Hertz car, which seems logical, but there was no recourse. But because I was not found at fault in the actual accident itself by the police that were present, there's really nothing that could be done to me beyond Hertz just promising that they would never rent me a car again. So we go on a trip to Cincinnati one Christmas, and I think in lieu of having, I think at the time my parents only had one car, or something was going on where it would have been advantageous for me and Lilith to have our own car while we were there. So I'm going to rent through Budget. And on the flight over, it dawns on me, perhaps Budget is owned by Hertz. And I look it up online, and it is, in fact, one of all of the companies that is owned by Hertz, except for one. There is only one major way to rent a car that is not owned by the Hertz Corporation. So limits my possibilities.
Sure, considerably.
We get to the desk, and I'm like, well, we'll just see what happens. And I give the person behind the desk my ID, and they're typing in for my reservation, and then their face goes like this. Because what's clear that has happened is that something has popped up on their screen that says, this person is banned from having a car.
Yes, flagged.
And they keep, hold on. One moment. And I eventually go, does it say that I am forever banned from renting a car on the screen in front of you? And she says, yes, but I'm sure it's some mistake. And I go, oh, no mistake. It's fine. Thank you very much. And then we leave. So that's my rental car story.
Wow. All right. Well, who knows? Maybe I'm going to get served in like 3 years for driving my car past the area I was supposed to.
Yeah.
And then I will be banned.
The good thing is, you won't find out about the case until it's over. So
yes. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Did they win the case? Did the guy win the case?
I have no idea. Clearly, because I can't rent a car there. So something was done.
Well, how was Alabama? Mississippi?
It's a mixed bag because the convention was fucking awesome. It was probably one of my favorites I've ever done. It was unbelievable. Everybody was so nice. My table was jam-packed both days that I was there. We never really even got to the end of the line. Like, it was crazy. So many awesome stories, and it was so nice meeting so many people. The organizers were great. Just like as a whole, one of my favorite conventions I've ever done, if not my favorite. The traveling situation was not ideal. So
what I heard.
I'm trying to fly in the night before the convention. And to get to Jackson, Mississippi, there are no direct flights. Jackson, Mississippi's airport's a little municipal airport. No potential for me to get a direct flight from any airline. So I have a night flight. I'm going to be leaving at about 8 p.m. I'm going to land around midnight after my connection in Atlanta. And then I'll be up early to start work 10 a.m. the next day for the convention. I go through TSA because I don't have pre-check because I keep forgetting to do that. As is the case, I believe, with most people. Pre-check, I think, is just a thing that you can flaunt that you didn't forget to do something.
Yes.
That the rest of us forgot to do.
For the rest of us, it's just a sign that says you forgot to do this.
It's a sign that you go, yeah, that's right. I should go to Staples or whatever the fuck. And so I have to, I'm bringing like my food, tofu and edamame and all my weird shit. And I have it in my bag, my carry-on bag, and I didn't check a bag. So they do the whole song and dance. They go through my whole bag. I got to tell them what everything is in there. Just fucking, it's because it's also like food that's foreign for most of the people that are looking at it. Also,
right.
This is insignificant, but I was wearing a new Keaton Boy Summer Keaton shirt from the movie.
Very nice.
The person who was looking through my bag said, "Oh, you like Batman?" And I said, "Yes." And then they said, "Did you know that Michael Keaton is back playing Batman?" And I said, I do.
Yes.
I said, "Actually, this is him on my shirt." And they said, "Did you hear about that?" And then that was the end of the conversation. So I get through TSA finally, put my shoes back on, get to my gate, and my flight has been canceled.
Great.
So starting there, go to the desk to see if I can get some assistance with getting another flight the next day. And the person says to me, "There's a flight taking off at 11 p.m. tonight. I can put you on standby." But unfortunately, at this point, I look over at that desk where that flight's taking off, and there are 4,050,000 people already standing there, all of whom have already been put on the standby list. So I go over to that area, and finally I get to the desk and I say, "Can you just let me know, is it likely that I will get a standby position?" And she said, "The flight is sold out. There's already 100 million people signed in for standby. It's very unlikely." So I walk back over to my original desk and I tell that to the person who was originally helping me, and they say, "Well, now you have zero chance because you aren't standing over there waiting." And I said, "You are correct." And then another person walked around the desk, and I just started talking to the other person because this person was being so mean.
Yes.
So the other lady, very nice, got me on a flight the following morning. It was a 6 a.m. flight.
And is this the morning of the event?
Yes.
Okay.
6 a.m. flight with a long layover, but I'd land about an hour before I was meant to start. So it would work. So I try to drive home, and I live relatively close to the airport, all things considered. Compared to LA, certainly much closer. But there is a massive, horrifying motorcycle accident that occurs that causes them to block off the only way that I can get back into the place that I live. So I'm rerouted around downtown Tampa, and that takes me in a ditch. So I don't get home until about midnight.
Yes.
I have a 6 a.m. flight. So I have to eat quickly, go to bed, and then I wake up around 3:30, 4 o'clock because I'm working and I would like to at least look partially presentable. So I need to shower and get ready because I'm going to have to go straight from the airport to the convention. So I get up early, do all my stuff. I'm exhausted. Get dressed, go to the airport, go the song and dance with the bag. Did you know Michael Keaton's Batman? That part didn't happen again.
It'd be amazing if it did.
A different person.
Yeah. Or the same person, actually.
Yeah, like it's on a loop.
Yeah, exactly. Then you think, are you in the Truman Show? My glasses keep fogging up again. I don't know what that's about.
It's like you're in Florida.
Yes.
That's 100% of the time I walk outside. If I have sunglasses on, they immediately fog up. So I get through TSA, I go to the gate. My flight has been delayed.
Oh my God.
So, and then canceled. Delayed first, then canceled. The flight never came. The connecting flight was supposed to come from Salt Lake City. The flight never took off. And so I am then put on standby once again. And now I have no choice but to stand there for standby, because if I don't make this standby flight, then I cannot make the connection, and I will not make it to my time that I need to get there. So I'm put on standby. I go to the desk. I ask the person working there, how likely is it that I will be put on standby? And they
Same
say,
person.
different person. And they say, it's extremely likely. You're first on the list.
Oh.
She goes, just stand here. I'm going to call you. If there's any availability on this flight, you will get on. So then I stand there for a while, and everyone that surrounds me who gets there later are people who would also like to be on standby flights, who have increasingly sad stories of why they need to get to Atlanta, and how all of their flights have been canceled, and if only they this is their last chance to get on standby. And I am aware that if there is an available position, it is betrothed to me.
Yes.
And so I'm feeling increasingly worse about my position, but I need to get there because I need to get to Jackson. And so I just stay silent. Now,
are they talking to you directly, or are they doing the I'm going to talk loud enough for him to hear so that maybe he'll give up? They are
competing with one another loudly for who has a sadder story as to why they need to get there. And it seems as if they are escalating based upon what the other says. So, like, there's about 10 people, all of whom, by the way, are in couples. So there was only one available seat anyway. So it wasn't as if I didn't take 2 seats away from people.
Right. No.
Seat. But one would tell a story of woe, and then the other one would go, oh my God, that's terrible. And then tell a story that is exponentially worse about why they need to get there. And then they would all commiserate about how terrible that was. And then someone else would escalate. And this went on for a half an hour. So I do get on that flight, but once we get on the plane, we just sit there inexplicably for about an hour. God, and finally, what went from a 2.5 hour layover is now looking like I'm going to have about 15 minutes to get through the Atlanta airport and make it to my flight to Jackson.
That's a big airport.
As we know, because I did do the convention, I did make it.
Yes.
However, the delay was on the second flight. Once I got onto that, there was then another delay. So I didn't arrive in Jackson until about 1 o'clock when I was meant to start at 10 a.m. But thankfully, everybody was awesome about it. They understood. I got there. I went directly from the plane to the car to my Q&A, out of the car right into the Q&A where there was, thankfully and very nicely, quite a few people there. But I was a little tired. And then throughout the day, pretty tired. And then stood in a room lit with a single fluorescent light above me and took photos with everyone all day, to increasingly an unfortunate numbers of people saying, boy, do you look tired, which is just what everybody wants to hear about themselves all day long. But I was, in fact, tired. So second day, do the full convention. It's awesome. My flight is at 6, but I'm wrapped up at about 4 o'clock. So Yanni and I go to the airport. We sit for a long time, just sort of, there's really nothing to do with that airport. So we're sitting in the one restaurant that's there. Time for me to walk over to my gate. I get to the gate. Everybody's sitting there, and the flight is delayed. Now, part of the issue is I already have I have an hour layover. So there's a very small window that I need this whole situation to fit into.
Yeah.
And it becomes increasingly clear to me the longer this is delayed that I am not going to make this connecting flight. But because I still theoretically can, they will not do anything about it. And so now I'm starting to build contingency plans of, am I spending the night in Jackson? And if I have to get a hotel or whatever else. They say that they would not honor any kind of vouchers for hotels because this is as they said, act of God, because it was
yes.
So I go up to the desk, and finally I say, there's no way for me to make my connecting flight. And they say, well, if you run, you still can. So thankfully I did speak to someone who put me on a 6 a.m. flight the next day out of Atlanta to Tampa. I get on that flight eventually after all these delays, and we take off very quickly, and we land to where I have about probably more time than I thought. I had about 25 minutes to get to my connection. So I didn't have any check bags. I could reasonably make this if only we did not sit on the tarmac for 25 minutes. So we land, and then the announcement comes that we are 7th in place on the tarmac. So we'll be sitting here for a while. So I watch on my phone all the time go by for me to make this connecting flight, despite the fact that I am at this airport.
Yes.
So finally, I get off the plane, and they say, well, they're holding it for a few more minutes, so you should run there. So I don't know if you've ever been to the Atlanta airport, but it is literally it's one of the largest buildings in the world.
Yep.
And it is the busiest and largest airport in the United States. It is not possible to get from the A terminal to the B terminal, to the C terminal, to the D terminal in anything less than 15 minutes, even running full speed. And you have to take a tram to every individual one of those. So I don't make it despite running and everything else. I am then told that once again, there is going to be a flight that takes off in 2 hours that I'm going to be put on standby for. Now, the behavior that I'm witnessing from other people in this situation is so much aggression, as if the employees sitting at the desks went out to the plane and like cut the brakes. Personally. So I do not ever take that route with anything that occurs, because just witnessing everyone else's level of aggression, for me, I'm like, I cannot mimic this. I must approach this with a nicer sort of way of being. So, but what occurs over the next several hours does test that for me. I go down to the gate where I am meant to be taking off on this new supplementary flight. And there is a flight that is supposed to be taking off to Salt Lake City. That flight has boarded. Everyone on that plane then slowly has to leave that plane one at a time. And it has been explained to us that the pilot is over their allotted hours and therefore cannot fly that plane and cannot move that plane to another place. So the next flight that's coming in cannot land, and down and on and on the chain.
Oh my God.
Domestic U.S. flights, generally speaking, do not start taking off after midnight. You will see flights land around that time. But once you get to 1 a.m, like, there's not flights taking off, because pretty much unanimously, all of the hours in which the workers can be there, from the flight crew to the flight air traffic control crew, to the pilots, to the people on the plane, to the people who are out putting the food on the plane, everything else, all of their hours shift over. And then there's a gap between the time when the next employees get in. I am realizing that we are now up against this. And thinking I'm certainly going to have to spend the night here in Atlanta. And then I just go, well, fuck it, I'll go to the bathroom. So I go pee. As I'm leaving the bathroom, I hear, so if you were on that flight 1591 to Tampa, you're going to want to head down there. And I go, oh, shit. And there's a guy that I knew was on my previous flight who was at the desk, and I see him and I go, hey, I just heard there was a Tampa announcement. What did they say? And he goes, no, it was for something Salt Lake City based. And then he runs. So it's a little weird. So I go stand in line at the other desk, and then I, after a few minutes, go, did they make an announcement about the Tampa flight? I could have sworn I heard it. And they say, yeah, they said that they're still on the tarmac because of the crew issues. So if you were on that 1591 flight, there's still room for a few more people to get on before they have to shut the doors. So I go running as fast as I can all the way down there. Now, again, this is in Terminal A. I'm in Terminal C, so it takes me a little while to get down there. As I get there, the person who lied to me about the announcement is walking down the jet bridge, and they shut the doors behind him and come and make the announcement.
Wow.
We can no longer have anybody get on the plane.
Wow. That's what I feared. God damn it.
Jerk. So, look, there's a lot of other things that happen. Over the next several hours, I am sent to 7 different gates for this standby flight. Again, so there's no guarantee that I'm even getting
right.
And eventually at 4:15 in the morning, I board my flight home on standby. Now, when I get on the plane, they for some reason could not get the manifest of the standby flight, the people who were on the standby list, to sync up with the ticket holders for the flight. So they had boarded everyone, and then it took them an hour to get standby people onto the plane. So everyone who was sitting on that plane had been sitting on that plane for, in some cases, upwards of an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. So they were all mad about the 3 or 4 of us that got on the plane. Also, I got to witness some truly aggressive behavior from people who I had been kind of friendly with sitting at the gate when the standby list started to get called, and they, for some reason, thought that it was a race. Even though we all know that it was about our names being called, there were people literally shoving other people to get up to the desk, which bears no consequence because it's name based. So you could stand anywhere and get on. So I am one of the fortunate souls who do get on that flight. And I sit down in my middle seat, very crowded little middle seat. And the person who's already sitting there is an older lady. She is wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt with many cats on it. Seems like a nice enough lady. And she says to me, "Oh, I just knew somebody was going to want to sit here." Now, I did not want to sit in the middle seat. I have no choice. I am 6'2". It's hard for me to sit in the most cramped possible seat on a plane.
Yes.
But I was very thankful to be in that seat.
Sure.
After she says this, I sit down. They had been handing out sun chips, cheese flavored sun chips, to everybody on the plane as a way of apologizing for how long they were sitting there.
Sure. Yes.
She then does something that I've never seen a person do, and I pray that all of you watching never see this or experience this, which is to take the bag of sun chips and crush the whole bag of sun chips in one hand until the sun chips are little tiny pieces, rip open that sun chip bag, and then pour all of the sun chips into the palm of one hand. And then, once all of the sun chips are in the palm, start to do this.
Oh, dear God.
Once she has licked all of the cheesy pieces of corn out of her hand, she then, of course, wants to, well, gives it one of these. Which then sends pieces of spitty, cheesy sun chips onto my sweatpants.
Yes.
Where they stay for the remainder of the flight because I am afraid to touch them.
Oh my God. Dude. That is I did not realize I was asking such a loaded question.
Now, this is prior to me kind of re-aggravating the rib injury, thankfully. But I will say it's possible that the whole situation contributed to it because I was carrying bags and running in weird ways and everything else.
Yes.
So it's possible. But I'm very thankful that I was not experiencing the sort of nerve pain that I have going on right now while that was occurring, because I might have just cried.
Sure. Yeah.
The other thing that's of note is that I am someone who is unfortunately addicted to nicotine. And so this is a lot of hours to be not... I had forgotten any sort of like nicotine gum or mints or anything. So I'm just like having like a nicotine fit during all this. I'm really very happy with myself for having kept my my niceness. I was never mean or rude at any point.
Bravo. Because that is it is helpful though to see people act like complete asses. And you're like, oh,
what is
I don't want to do that.
Is that nothing is open at the airport that way? So you couldn't get like water or snacks. It was the strangest thing because all flights were experiencing this. So all flights were delayed. So you're watching thousands of people at this airport be stuck there all night on every flight. And then there was the like guest services desk had a line where there was a sign that said, to this point 3 hours, to this point 4 hours, 5 hours. By the end of that line, there were people who had gotten into the line expecting a 6-hour wait. Now, I'm not sure why you're in that line at that point. Like, I don't know that you're ever going to get anything done.
No. What could be done? Awful.
Anyway.
Awful.
So that's it. That's that.
Wow. That is quite a journey.
Yeah, like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yes. Yep. You the ultimate journeyman. You were.
That's me. Yeah, so that's that. Anyway, so that's our show for this week. It was a lot of pain, a lot of calamity, and that's the only two words I can think of. But the reason I bring up the thing about my ribs is I'm hoping to be able to continue to be on the mend and for them to be in a better place. But there is a slight chance, because it's so soon, that by the time we do these shows in Mexico and even the beginning of the U.S. tour, hopefully I'm slowly recovering. But there's a possibility that I may be more stationary on stage than usual, depending on how I'm able to deal with re-aggravating this injury, because it sucks. It's super painful. And again, if you have chronic pain, or you're someone who experiences where you can just tell, I think the biggest thing is if you start making excuses for, oh, I can't sit that way, or I can't bend my leg that way, or I have to walk this way. If you can, and it's within your means and you have the capability of doing it, I would absolutely advocate trying to go to physical therapy to deal with it, because I'm someone who, for years, I've just gone, oh, well, I can't really sit that way anymore, or I can't bend my leg that way anymore. And all of it just goes back to the rib injury and then the re-aggravation and then never doing anything about it. And if I had all these years been working on that, I don't believe that I'd be in the position that I'm in now. So take care of yourself, because no matter, I'm someone who runs miles a day and works out and everything else, and that doesn't matter at all if there's something internally that the structure of your skeleton is fucked up because of something that happened. You need to take care of it. So do what you can to take care of yourself, please. I'm not trying to be preachy. I'm just trying to share information because it's something that's affecting me directly right now, and hopefully it helps you to hear it. One thing we didn't mention is that the Reds are good, so that's good.
Yeah.
But we will spare you that conversation, because if you guys don't care about the Bengals, you will care even less about the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
But another happy sports time. What is this world?
I don't recognize it. It is foreign to me, and I'm trying to enjoy it.
You gotta understand I mean, even thinking back to the Bucks winning the NBA championship, like it's been such an unprecedented streak of these teams. Unbelievable.
It's true. I know. It's remarkable.
That's why my ribs got re-aggravated, because too many things were happening in sports.
Right. Yep. There has to be a give and take.
And no one liked the Flash. These are the things that are the karmic responses.
Yep.
Where Keaton's return as Batman is basically just a big fart.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And I hurt my ribs. That's what we have to sacrifice to get good sports.
Well, thank you for your sacrifice, Andy.
Yes, and Godspeed, John Glenn. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. And we will talk to you next week. I'll give an update. Ribs update 2023.